All right, so in this video, we're checking out the Darwin59. This is an AliExpress special, like the Darwin79 that I reviewed like a month ago. This is, I don't know, a toothpick type of microquad, but they really kind of didn't really follow the design specs of the toothpick style for a 3-inch prop. And I think that they did a lot of compromising here, basically to get the cost as low as possible. So for those of you guys that are looking for dirt cheap stuff, I think this is supposed to be $59 on AliExpress, but as I was checking prices, the price fluctuates kind of all over the map. I don't really understand the mechanisms behind how AliExpress prices stuff. Maybe it's by the different stores or whatever, whoever's selling it. Honestly, I'm not an expert on that, but you're going to have to check the link. Sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower. I've seen the price as low as $58 and as high as $82. So it's kind of all over the map. Obviously, for even at the highest end of the price here, for a 3-inch toothpick, it's not bad, even around $80. Obviously, for around $55 or $60, this is a pretty decent deal for the components, just to have something to fly around in the 3-inch toothpick class. But basically to get the cost way down here like this, it's a series of compromises. So let me just go over what you get here. First, 1104 8600 kV motors. You get a 2.5 millimeter bottom plate, X style toothpick style frame. It's a single plate. You have a 20 by 20 stack, a 30 amp 4-in-1 ESC BLE S F411 flight controller. And I think it's the same flight controller that was in the Darwin79. I'm pretty sure it is. Got all the plugs and everything. Get this canopy, very thin and light. And then you have this Caddx Turbo EOS 2 V2 camera. I think it's the 16:9 version, not the 4:3 version. Regardless, it's an analog camera, not the best. 25 millimeter video transmitter. It does not go any higher than 25 milliwatt. Sorry, 25 milliwatt video transmitter. No more power than that. It does not come with a receiver, so you have to add your own. I stuffed in a receiver right there. You can see it's one of those like full speed RC receivers, like one of the V1s. Not that great D8 receiver, not the greatest range, but it was small enough for me to stuff it in there. They did not really consider receivers in this design here in terms of where to put the receiver. There is very little to no space for receivers, so you're gonna have to find the smallest one you can to get that in there. The VTX antenna here I secured with a zip tie to the canopy to kind of hold it in place with a little bit of heat shrink here, because it was just kind of flopping around and it will get chopped up by the propellers if you don't do that. Same with any other antennas here. If you have like a receiver antenna, make sure that it is secure before you fly it, as well as your battery connector here. Now I just kind of wrapped it around here like such. Obviously you probably want to zip tie it as well, but I'll talk about why I didn't do that here in a second. Rubber band that was originally on here broke on the first flight, and luckily I crashed in grass and nothing broke. So I replaced the rubber band with my own rubber band here like this, and I actually mounted the battery sideways, and I added this little sticky pad here that was not included either. Yeah, so I would recommend replacing the rubber band right away. That's pretty weak, and it's going to break as soon as you have any kind of crash as well. And these rubber bands are fine. I'll link down in the video description how I mount these rubber bands here on these X-style frames. I have a whole video on how to do that. It's from like 2 or 3 years ago. Pretty popular video, but yeah, people get confused on how to put this on for some reason, so I made a video about that. Now they did some pretty weird things here in terms of their choices. So 1104 motors at 8600 kV, not the best choice in my opinion. Limits you to 2S, even though they said that they can go 3S in this one. I don't recommend doing 3S unless you want to have some problems. I didn't even bother because 8600 kV on a 3-inch prop on 3S for this little motor here is way too much in my opinion. Not even worth trying. Yeah, it's either the kV is wrong. They think they can do 3S, but I'm pretty sure it's right, because even on 2S I was getting a lot of oscillations, prop wash when you do like certain kinds of dives and power loops, which you'll see in the flight demo. They did some really bizarre stuff here with the way the ESC works. So you can see the motor wires aren't soldered to those solder pads for the motor wires, but instead they have these like pins or something here from the ESC to this this part here, which is like an LED, and it's going to be hard to see. Trying to get the camera right up there. It's just behind this little rubber band. You can see like that. I think those are pins. I'm not exactly sure how that works. Maybe it's soldered on, but regardless, it's a weak point, and in a hard crash, that's probably going to break. But I think they went with this because they wanted to use these little LEDs here, and what they should have done is just gotten rid of this whole thing here, not even use this weird design, and just run the motor wire like normal and solder them to the motor pads, and then it would have been fine. I think that in a crash, you're going to have problems. That's going to probably break at that point there. The arms are probably not going to break at 2.5 millimeters. It's pretty light. Obviously, on a really hard crash, it'll probably break, and then you're going to have to replace the frame anyway. But if you do happen to break the solder joints here or the pins here at this point, you can just remove this whole LED part here and then just use some extra wires, because it's basically motor wires are soldered to this LED board right here. Lengthen those wires and solder to the ESC's motor wire pads right there directly, and you should be fine as long as the frame isn't damaged. But yeah, that's just, I don't know. I mean, if they're so concerned about cost, it seems like that is an unnecessary cost to add to these little LEDs, maybe like $1 each, and they just create, it's just an opportunity for problems later, and I wouldn't have done that. Now, they decided to go with the 20x20, maybe because, you know, if you happen to destroy an ESC board or a flight controller board, you can replace one or the other, versus putting an all-in-one board in here instead. But I would have just gone with an all-in-one board just to save the weight. And yeah, just I'm not sure that was the best choice. Because they went with this 20x20 stack, the USB port is actually not accessible. I think it's behind this canopy right here. So you have to take the canopy off to plug into the USB port to basically bind up the receiver, make sure everything's working, and do the Betaflight setup and all that. You have to take the canopy off. So that's another design compromise I think they made to go with the 20x20 parts, I think, which might be cheaper than the all-in-one board. I'm not exactly sure, but yeah, that's another thing that I don't really like about this one. But, you know, if you can pick this up for $60, I don't know. I mean, as long as you're not crashing it, it probably will fly okay for a while. Now, the pitch unit on here needs work. It needs more filtering because there's a lot on power loops. There's a lot of prop wash oscillation, but full throttle punch outs seem to be fine. You'll see that in the foot demo. Anyway, let me just show you how much it weighs, and then we'll get right to the flight footage. All right, so this is what my weighs with the receiver and everything in there. It's 56.7 grams. And then this is the batteries. This is a 2S 520 milliamp hour GNB high volt. It's like 28.8 grams. So altogether, there we go. Altogether, we're coming in at 85.5 grams. So even on 2S, it's a little bit on the heavy side for 3-inch toothpick class. Although, you know, I think 90 grams, I think, is probably your limit. But, you know, that's with a 3S battery, and like a lower kV motor is what you're probably looking for ideally. You know, just for better flight time and better, you know, flight characteristics. I think, in my opinion, you want a lower kV motor versus a higher kV motor. Anyway, link down in the description if you want to check it out. It flies fine. I mean, obviously the long-term durability is going to be an issue, I think, in this one. But if you can pick it up for $60, you know, $65, whatever, not too bad, you know. But this wouldn't be my first choice for a toothpick. I would just build one with a, you know, there's the standard, you know, 1303 motor with a 3S battery, you know, that's pretty much like the standard right now. I think I know there's a lot of other variations out there. Some people say that like a 1207 motor might be better, but honestly, 1303 around 85 grams, I think, is the ideal weight for a 3-inch toothpick class. That's just my opinion. Anyway, that's going to do it for this video. Here's the flight footage. Talk to you guys in the next one.